We're doubling down. Yep. I mean, the why Paper Mario changed video, I basically did 2 to 3 times, so yeah, why not? We are doubling down on a lot of what I said last discussion video on the Thousand Year Door remake. We're doing that exact video again, basically, because, oh my god. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what the hell Nintendo ended on last Direct. It's like I said last time, I think most beyond TTYD fans, even some TTYD and Paper Mario fans still, they don't fully realize just how monumentally colossal it is that this happened. How Nintendo went about the way it was announced, what the implications could be for Paper Mario going forward, the Mario RPG branch as a whole, the sheer fact Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door is getting a remake. If you saw my last discussion, then you got a good idea on why it's so huge. If not, let me state what cannot be understated. Why are people going absolutely ballistic over Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door getting a remake? How in any way is this so damn huge? So for one, Nintendo Direct comes and goes. The one that just happened a couple days ago, it was more or less mid for most people. I think most can agree without the Thousand Year Door remake announcement, but even with it, it's still likely agreeable just because Thousand Year Door legit carried the Direct for most people. But forget about that, that's not important. Just the fact Nintendo closed the Direct on Thousand Year Door. This was their closer. Closers for Directs, they are usually the big one. Whether a special surprise we don't know about, or a massive game we do know about, and it's a better look at that massive game, your Smash newcomer trailers, your new Smash game reveal trailer, your Zelda gameplay trailers, your 3D or 2D Mario gameplay / reveal trailers, a Xenoblade game once in a blue moon. The big announcement / the big teaser. Paper Mario never. It was never ever that. Sticker Star just got normal trailers here and there. Color Splash got passing trailers and details mid-direct, like it was no big deal. And Origami King got shadow teased out of nowhere because COVID year 2020, to be fair. But Paper Mario, it's one of those titles that aren't massive, huge grandstanders for directs by any means whatsoever. It's a Mario spinoff. They get passing reveals like all the others. Luigi's Mansion, Princess Peach Showtime, the sports games and such. Not this time. Nintendo opted to close a big, regular Nintendo Direct on a Paper Mario announcement. And it wasn't just any Paper Mario announcement. It wasn't even just our second Paper Mario on a single console. It was Thousand Year Door. And not only that, compared to most other Mario series, Mario Kart 2D, 3D, Party, most of the sports games, even Mario and Luigi, Paper Mario is one of the less profitable series for Nintendo. They always go back and forth selling a modest 1 to 2 million, occasionally 3 to 4, with Origami King and Super respectively, and those are good sales numbers. But for Mario, that's on the lower end considerably. So even just from a business or finance perspective, Paper Mario was one of the last sub-series for Mario for them to care about. They gotta pump one out every 4 years or so, but they're not one of Nintendo's first major priorities the vast majority of the time. Not this time. They put Paper Mario, forget Thousand Year Door, on the same pedestal, the same exact finale grandstand in this Direct as they would for Smash Bros., for Zelda, and for mainline Mario. The smaller blip on Nintendo's and consumers' radars they put out at the end of the Direct as their big closer. That all on its own holds massive implications you'd never expect from Nintendo. And Nintendo and Intelligent Systems had all the reasons in the world to not even attempt this route. Not even just because Paper Mario is less popular than most other Mario stuff, but also just all the crap Intelligent Systems spewed during their development on the last 3 games, Sticker Star, Color Splash, and Origami King. Super Paper Mario is the 3rd game in the series that marked this stark, dramatic turning point for the series, and Sticker Star did it again for effectively the worst all around, and then the next 2 games continuing a lot of that game's design elements and philosophies. People hate Sticker Star for an all-you-can-eat buffet's worth of reasons. They couldn't make creative designs on characters. Some strict IP team, some character design squad or whatever, they couldn't even make distinct types of designs, races, and differentiations of ages and such that the first 2 games did. They couldn't do that for any of the recent games. Origami King kind of broke it a little bit, but it really was just a little bit. It was still a far cry from the type of creativity and freedom we wanted for a long while. Toadsworth, multiple Magic Koopas that aren't Kamek, they were basically dead. Any semblance of a higher stakes story with dozens of genuine investable characters. Now, we gotta make them just generic Toads, standard Mario enemies and bosses, generic Mario fare, every joke, every story element, every world element, every gameplay element, all had to be paper focused. Leaned so much on just the title of the franchise, despite that was never the explicit core focus the first half of its run. Their MO was to make every Paper Mario after Super not like Thousand Year Door. Super was the weirdest one, but Nintendo and Intelligent Systems made such a conscious, consistent effort for more than a decade of making sure Paper Mario never had a new game like 64 or Thousand Year Door. No matter how many millions of fans explicitly requested more Paper Mario games like those, no matter how restricted the story and character elements, and no matter how piss poor the gameplay design is. No matter how miserable or just flat out unfun the gameplay is. We have Mario RPG on top of all this. This high effort, faithful, big budget remake of the first Mario RPG ever. In 2 months, they could have just waited. They could have just waited a whole year. We wouldn't even need Color Splash during Color Splash, and even a smidget during Origami King. They're just like, we have Mario and Luigi. That's our Mario RPG. You can just go play that instead if you want Mario RPGs. Freaking Mario plus Rabbids, you could even put in that pool. Tactical RPG, crazy higher stakes story, original characters and locations and whatnot, RPG gameplay, topped with innovative gameplay, built off the foundation the series originally set. Like, Mario plus Rabbids did more of that the more it went on, and on top of all of that, the character restriction, story restriction, shying away from the original style entirely, whether from some fear of not building off the original format or making unique gameplay mechanics for it, missing the appeal of the story-centric Mario series and making it significantly more about paper than ever before, whatever. Super Mario Odyssey had absolutely no problem with any of this, at all. There were races, crazy locales, probably the most active or layered story for 3D Mario besides Galaxy, maybe Sunshine, built off 64 style, added a bunch of new ideas and whatnot, the kind of stuff they were just like, no, we can't do that for Paper Mario. We gotta make it very sanitized, we gotta throw out whatever the recent gameplay ideas we got for something completely new, just no. It can't be anything like Thousand Year Door. 3D Mario for a very short period with Odyssey was the only type of Mario game that could do that. Luigi's Mansion 3 did not have any of these problems. Super Mario Bros. Wonder didn't struggle with most of this either. Same for Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle and Sparks of Hope. Same for Princess Peach Showtime. Same for even the Mario sports games that disappointed in some way, Tennis Aces, Golf Super Rush, Strikers Battle League, and of course, the same for Mario RPG. Half, if not more than half, of the entire basis for what people adored Thousand Year Door and 64 for, why Intelligent Systems said over and over and over and over again why they couldn't do it, why they had some strict team watching over, and all these weird, outlandish restrictions. Literally every single Mario game on the Switch was doing the exact opposite from borderline everything they said they couldn't do or didn't want to do. It did not help its case whatsoever with Mario RPG getting remade, basically being the quintessential case for what people love out of any Mario RPG series or game, and it was on the way with Mario plus Rabbids already taking a spot in some of that void. But now, we have an RPG like Paper Mario coinciding in some way with Super Mario RPG. We now have 2, if not 3, Mario RPGs on Switch. More than what Intelligent Systems would ever see back during 2016, and definitely more than what any of us ever expected. 2 Mario RPGs coming out within months of each other on the same system, and both are games we thought would never, ever see the light of day ever again. And even if all of this wasn't the case, even if Intelligent Systems didn't have these restrictions in place, every other Mario game didn't have this curated list of rules or whatever, primarily in a gameplay sense, if any of this did not happen, despite how long, loud, and plentiful the outcry against the modern sticker star formula was, Intelligent Systems did not want to listen. Despite the vocal minority just not shutting up for more than a decade, and even despite people who like some of the modern games like Origami King, like more people than otherwise literally anywhere, in spite of Super Origami King and even Sticker Stars selling more than either of the first 2 games. It is a fact that most people who touched these Paper Marios felt at the end of it that a return to the classic RPG style was the recommended route. Both hardcore classic fans, but even fans of the newer games. That is an undeniable fact. And regardless of that, for the last decade, it felt like they purposefully, intentionally, did not want to listen whatsoever. And of course, like plenty of first parties, this was rumored for more than 3 years at this point, and absolutely no one thought this was gonna come to pass for everything I just laid out. It's like, new Paper Mario on the horizon, this is 2020, Thousand Year Door remaster's coming because of the fan outcry, people are asking to return to form, they're finally listening, but it's just like, even on its base level, that felt way too good to be true. Pikmin 1 and 2, Metroid Prime Remastered, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and Mario vs. Donkey Kong HD, Mario RPG, Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Like, the Switch was having this trend of all these remasters and remakes this and next year of all these classic, beloved, fantastic games across multiple generations. But like, literally everything I laid out in brass tacks, it's exactly why it felt like it was just another fake. It was just another rumor you'd find on 4chan. Like, nah, you're hitting some crazy pills if you're thinking that. You're hitting a little bit of too much stupid juice, and you might be hitting too much hard edibles if you think we're getting a Thousand Year Door re-release. That's like Sora or Ridley playable in Smash Brothers levels of unbelievable in a much smaller bubble. There is no way. That's just another classic fan coping with the current formula again. That is just way too implausible, way too contradictory from everything Nintendo and Intelligent Systems did. It is way too good to be true. And it's precisely because of all of this, I don't think this remake of Thousand Year Door will ever feel real to me. At least for months, if not until sometime after the game drops. To hardcore Paper Mario fans, all the reasons why they couldn't do anything Paper Mario like Thousand Year Door. The character restrictions, the shoddy gameplay design, the story, the heavy emphasis on paper above all else. Paper is all-encompassing story, gameplay, writing, and aesthetic elements instead of just borderline-only aesthetics. Why Paper Mario was the way it was. It was a situation we dealt with for more than 11 years. All that time, and now they decide now's the time to take a crack at the Thousand Year Door formula? It's like, no, not Thousand Year Door. Thousand Year Door? Thousand Year Door. Why? Why not 64? I know full well it's on NSO. Apply the logic with why they went with Mario RPG remaking it, as that's not on NSO, that's not there. But like 64, outside exploration and world design, it could have used some of the exact gameplay elements and stuff Thousand Year Door had. But it would have been a great all-time classic that would have warranted a remake. After this, I expect us to hope 64, maybe even Super gets remade at all in the future, but like 64 had arguably just as much reason to get remade here. But they went with best case scenario instead. Thousand Year Door getting it way more than just a remaster as well. genuinely is the best case scenario. It's a remake and everything. Not a new installment altogether, don't get me wrong, but it's literally why Mario RPG getting a remake is so celebrated. Look at the remakes for Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story for 3DS. Those games had the exact same type of character restrictions Paper Mario suffered from. Granted, it was on a smaller scale, not nearly as bad, but any original depictions of Toads, Magic Koopas, Koopa Troopas, and whatnot, you can visibly see they cut back on them in the exact same way. They looked like the exact same types of Toads, Magic Koopas, Koopa Troopas, and such you'd see in like New Super Mario Bros. So even in the remake context, it's insane we're seeing both Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door manage to recreate their cast of characters and set pieces significantly more faithfully than most Nintendo fans were even expecting. And I get it, some might not be over the moon for a remake, and it's a bit of an oxymoron to be all. Nintendo's embracing Mario being creative and original again by remaking two older, already existing titles and all. But all the stuff, the characters, the writing, the story, focus, themes, gameplay, design, in both Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door, the content is what drives and how creative and personality driven those two titles are. Remade or not, these were Mario games Nintendo wanted to sweep under the rug and make sure Mario didn't attempt to get close to ever again. And now we're getting both of them back at roughly the same time. And they're not even the only Mario games coming up soon that evoke a strong sense of free will and originality for Mario. And even then, most fans deadass, we would have taken a remaster. We would have taken like the most bare bones. Well, I don't know about the most bare bones. No, we would. No, we would. The original game visually still holds up very well. Even without emulating it with visual mods, it's just a good art style visually. The original game, unfortunately, like every other GameCube classic, is also priced ridiculously high, anywhere from low 100s to $500 or $600 online if you're trying to own the actual game. It's really hard to obtain for most people out there. But now, not only are we getting a very easily accessible version of Thousand Year Door, we're going to get even more new fans of Thousand Year Door and that specific style of Paper Mario, which is always a beautiful celebration all on its own. But they were on direct. Oh, Thousand Year Door is just returning with some enhanced graphics. Bullshit! Enhanced graphics. Bro, you're underselling the visuals that hard? We're not even getting a remaster of this game. It's not even a basic upscale. They went above and beyond recreating Thousand Year Door in an incredibly faithful, gorgeous remake. Every character, all the crazy, unique, and stellar designs, characters, races, ages, outfits, it's all there. It's all intact. The story's gonna be the same, the worlds are crisply upgraded, the battle system with the stage and the star points and the special attacks used with flower points, it's all there. The already fantastic soundtrack's getting remade as well. The characters and elements visually are given entirely new assets. Characters are retraced on model, given more new animations, shots of their backs when they turn around, particularly on the partners, that wasn't even in the original, new shocked animations as well, all around, the main cast, especially the partners again. It's got the extremely detailed texturing and crazy lighting engine from Color Splash and the Origami King, while still pertaining to the pop-up book style of the original. The perfect blend of both the original visual style with the modern games' style and graphical hardware to make it pop just as visually and beautifully. And there might even be new characters too, because there's a purple toad in front of the juice bar in Glitzville. I don't know who the hell he's supposed to be, and who knows what other new elements they could add too. Thousand Year Door, at the end of it all, it's a brilliant Mario game. It's a genuinely great game all around, but it served as the peak of a series that peaked way too early in its lifespan. I love Super Paper Mario. I put it in the same class as the first two. Super's goated even with its faults in my opinion. But that game marked the sharp shift from what majority of fans classified as the formula that needed to be evolved from. Same case for why Super Mario 64's formula, it kept the ball for 3D Mario rolling in the whole series, and especially in Odyssey's case, or how Mario Kart did it for that series, every console installment basically. Bug Fables, perfect example of this. You got 3 party members, you got positional order mechanic, where your attack is higher for whoever's in the front, and a turn relay mechanic where characters can trade turns to one another, but their attack power decreases, simulating stamina of sorts. Like gameplay stuff like that, as well as overworld exploration on the level of Bug Fables, Paper Mario 64, or even Origami King, with the Thousand Year Door RPG battle system would be a perfect way to evolve Paper Mario in my opinion. And now, we have a timeline where Mario RPG, Thousand Year Door and Bug Fables on the same system. I know a lot of you hate it when I or anyone else says that word. I know you hate this word. But that is objectively so freaking cool. And with this remake, who knows what else they're going to add that's new? Some new Toad character in Glitzville? Okay. Is it some type of shopkeep, a tutor / easy mode situation or whatever? Will they cut down any backtracking portions in chapters 2, 4, or 7 to make the experience even that much better? Will they toss us the spin dash move from 64 where Mario can move faster, where we don't even have to wait until we get the mini Yoshi partner in chapter 3? Will we have the option to choose between the remade soundtrack and the original soundtrack, just like the Mario RPG remake? That'd be incredibly cool. I don't think the odds are that high for this one, but Luigi goes on each chapter about an adventure he's on during your own in a different kingdom. What if we get a side campaign for that? Luigi and the Marvelous Compass. The original game, Thousand Year Door, it stood up remarkably well even with the drawbacks it had, mainly with the backtracking in those 3 chapters in particular, and the fact it could get even better than that through this remake. That's astonishing. Forget it already looked significantly better than the original game in my opinion, but through all this time, Thousand Year Door stood as both just a great game all around, but also the point for a series that it shouldn't have strayed from essentially. So it was the hallmarker for most fans to use as a proper template going forward for newer installments. And now, Nintendo and Intelligent Systems are basically putting that to the test. Paper Mario now is back for sure, and you know what I mean when me and others say Paper Mario is back. But it's back in the sense that even when it's not a new game, it's a return to form like we've been clamoring. It's just remaking the one game we've been using as an example. But I think the big question is Paper Mario back for good? Are we going to see this formula stick? And I think that largely might boil down to how well this remake is going to sell. The way I interpret them attempting this remake, it's the same way with F-Zero 99. Nintendo and Intelligent Systems are using this remake as a litmus test to see how truly big the demand for the original format of Paper Mario is. And it's likely whether or not that format will stick in newer Paper Mario titles will hinge on how well the Thousand Year Door HD remake sells. The only con I can envision is how we're on the cusp of the next new system. We just don't know when those details are coming. I'm thinking of making another video on that. If they give those details to us before this remake comes out, even if it's backwards compatible, that's gonna hurt its legs for a pretty good while. But even if not, there's a solid chance the sales might not surpass expectations too. Origami King sold well for a Paper Mario, but it didn't outsell Super by like 700,000. Similar in how WarioWare Get It Together didn't break records. Nor did Fire Emblem Engage, ironically all these being Intelligent Systems titles. Like, there are some outliers on Switch that sold as well as their respective predecessors would have prior. Which is not the common new first-party title breaks records by a massive margin on Switch, like with literally every other first-party release. So there's always that chance this remake will sell more or less as well as Origami King or Sticker Star. 2 million's probably a safe bet. However, this is such a long-awaited, long and heavily requested game for Paper Mario fans in just the format of gameplay or narrative alone. Thousand Year Door's legacy has been consistently held up really high by tons of people for almost 20 years now. It is another Switch first party, and a majority of them still do break sales records anyways. The active user base for Switch is still insanely huge. And now, a bunch of new people who've never touched Thousand Year Door or even Paper Mario at all get to touch a marvelous game for the first time. And it's only going to get even more people on board with the style, the gameplay, the character creativity, the story and such. I'm excited that an entire new generation of Nintendo fans are going to have easy access to the Thousand Year Door at a good price, and it could not look any better than it does. But all of this is topped with, if anyone ever felt Paper Mario should return to form for newer entries, this has to sell well just for our words and thoughts to be backed up. All the complaining and backlash and whatnot, it means a lot less if we're not voting with our wallets to Nintendo and insist that, yes, we were serious as far as Paper Mario titles should be more like this. And all the excitement, hype, and immense elation across a bunch of other Paper Mario fans online, or even just regular Nintendo fans as well, it's incredibly palpable and at a really high. Nintendo's Nintendo doing what they should have Nintendo done years ago, and it's incredible. I still can't fathom how this is real, dude. This is our timeline. They are finally attempting to listen to us. The decade-plus long pushback is finally getting some manner of addressing after what felt like them giving the coldest of shoulders for too long. And while the roadmap for new entries altogether remain a mystery still, The Paper Mario we did want to be reintroduced is back at the moment with this remake of Thousand Year Door, and there are multiple strong reasons to why this game does stand a good shot at selling really well. If you never touched this game, or never touched Paper Mario at all, I can never recommend this upcoming remake enough. It's going to be a very fun Mario adventure for a lot of you, and I'm really glad we're going to get even more Paper Mario fans on deck now. Between this, Mario Movie, Mario RPG, Mario Kart DLC, Peach Showtime, Mario Wonders. Somehow Mario's 38th anniversary is leagues better than his 35th anniversary, for whatever reason. But even beyond the Paper Mario fandom itself, there are several ways you could look at this remake and understand this is a pretty big deal than one would assume. It's an incredible time we live in. I can't wait for it to come out. It's gonna be fantastic, dude. Mario RPGs, we're thriving again. Mario and Luigi's all that's missing as far as another Mario RPG comeback. But of course, let me know what you think of all this down in the comments below. Always appreciate your time and attention, and probably waiting for a straight interview, a mod of the OG TTYD, a new trailer or something. I'll swing back around with more Paper Mario content. I shall cook with a meme I am making right now, and I will see you then. Stay super.
哟，嘿，妹妹，嘿，我来呀！共和，哈哈哈呀！拉面，嘿，来面，来个面，共和，再见呀！哈哈，拉面，上手面，谢谢。